Hello, so today we're going to channel about the Akashic Records and what they are and how we can use them. I will be channeling through Archangel Metatron because he is thought of as the master and the guardian of the Akashic Records. So that's why I will be channeling him today. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so I'll just shield and bring him through. All right, we will begin.
Thank you for coming in. What are the Akashic Records?
There is no time or space. So the Akashic Records are a collection of information. It is access to everything that you shall experience. It is the potential information and the access to the energy of all information. It is what you would refer to as a glorified sense of self, in that you can access the stories that you have accumulated. But these are what you would see as coming to terms with finding the self. It is like informing you of where you've been, who you are, and what you shall become. It is not so much the information, but the accumulation of knowledge that you have received. It is like accessing a computer system and looking at all the programs. You can access the program and reprogramming your mind and your sense of self. It is like taking a system and becoming the master mechanic, master programmer of that system. What else would you like to know?
So, it's more like...
I got to... Sorry. This is Heather, obviously. Like a matrix system that we have developed. Go on.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, so it would be more accurate to kind of describe it as like our programming code.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I got quantum field. Sorry. I'm getting downloads. So I was seeing like a web, sort of. Not exactly a web, but all these connected lines going out, sort of like a web.
Like how you would see like the neurological pathways?
Yeah, yeah, like that. Exactly.
Okay.
And I saw it in purple. It was like purple. Purple lines.
But so it would be like more accurate to describe it like a code of like what is making us up, rather than like a historical record.
I'm getting data field. The data field, people call it quantum field, quantum potential, accessing information, connecting the dots. Different ways of putting it.
But rather than a historical record, because a lot of people talk about it like it's a historical record.
Yeah. And I did get 0 point field. Like you are accessing the 0 point field, but as you are in the 0 point, you have access to all. Yeah, and I just get like, it's like a quantum computer field. Quantum computer system. It's like quantum physics, basically. But you're really accessing the now.
So, I was going to ask before saying that it's not really like a historical record is that, so it's like the potential choice. So like future information would come from what your now presence is most likely to decide in the future, but that can obviously change. So if you accessed the Akashic Records, say today versus tomorrow, or more likely like a week later or something, that data would be different because you might have a different potential choices from a different point in time.
Okay. It doesn't change per se. It is a different access point. You've hopped timelines.
So you'd witness a different part of it.
Yes. And so that means that your energy field has shifted, which is positive, most likely. Although you can have a negative, in quotes, a potential energy that does not access the highest for you. However, most of the time you would access a higher point and shift. So it just means that you have a higher potential of the system. But it's all up to you. So when people do oracle cards or try to define the future, it is not so much that anything is set in stone. You have access to a higher definition of yourself. It is all how you decide and what you decide you can be and shall be and are. It is up to you. So redefine your system. You can reprogram the code.
So when you do oracle cards and like pendulums and stuff, is that connecting to the Akashic Records when you do that?
No, not necessarily. It is more like you are accessing information. You can access it through a system. If you're calling upon an angel or a guide to give you that information, then you are accessing a higher dimensional system. If you're calling upon the cards itself, you may not be accessing that specific code. It depends on what code you are using. It could be a system that is in a lower dimension. It all depends on the informational system you're using, what Heather is saying energy, yes. It is the focal point of what you are using. How are you accessing the cards? Are you using energy and intention, or are you just randomly pulling cards? It depends. But if you are using them to access the Akashic Records, then yes. It would be how much potential energy are you using through the cards? How much light are you using through the cards?
So if we are talking about the Akashic Records like a program system, how is that different from your Merkaba, since that is considered like your computer system?
It is all attached. There is no difference. All Merkabas are one Merkaba, so they are all connected. You could think of it like a nesting doll in which it is about expanding your Merkaba. Once you expand, you become more of the entirety. There is no ultimate differentiation. However, each Merkaba lies within another Merkaba. You expand yourself and you expand into the totality of the reality of the system, which has no definition. There is but the self, the I am presence. How you define it is how you define yourself. So to answer your question, within yourself, you have access to only a certain amount of information at this space and time, which you are only defining as your space and time. So there is no space and time, only your reality of what you define as your reality. The nesting doll system is the access of all the selves. You have access to all within yourself and all potentials of this mind game of creation. So when you access the Akashic Records, you're stepping outside your time and space and into another reality system. So if you are to define yourself without needing a Merkaba, without needing those confinements, you can reprogram yourself throughout time and space without needing to access your limitations. You are reprogramming your Merkaba, but you are using the Merkaba system without needing the driver. You step outside your own self into the multiple potential of reality, the multi-dimensional space of the connection of all. We hope that this is your reality and that you can understand this system. It is as if you are taking the computer to work through the computer to see the data stream, to access possibly the internet system itself, if that makes sense. Instead of just the whatever you are accessing and capable of, you are able to access all of it. Such as using certain fields of potentiality like you would a wire, your cables that connect your system on your planet, or routers that have access to the signal. You're accessing the signal, but the signal that you would around your planet, or the signal around the universe, or the signal around all that is. You're accessing the potential signals of all space and time. That is nothing more than your definitions and what you define yourself as, and how you would see yourself, which you work within. So if you are to access a past life, it is nothing more than what you have thought yourself to be, and that which you would think that you shall be or would be. In all that you are.
So what are different ways that we can access the Akashic Records?
There are many ways which you can alter your state of consciousness to review the information which you have already accumulated. You may do this through meditation, hypnosis. You can use cards, oracle decks. You might use pendulums and tools, but it is all up to you. You might be doing it through giving permission for someone else to access it for you. It is a mind game in which you are playing with yourself. You are taking information and reviewing it. You are stepping into the potentiality field. You have to allow it. You have to feel it, become it, and access it. If you would anything, you must understand the system To access this system and to review this information, you must understand what the system does. It takes something that you were and brings it into the field. It takes a part of yourself and brings it up for you to review. As you would a card system or accessing a library, as some people would say. It is indexes. So in order to do that, you must allow that information to come up. Sense, feel, and know it. You find that information as if you would sorting. You have to allow whatever comes up to come up. And you have to believe that you can. You have to know it. To find this information, you can access a certain guardian or guide to bring it to you. And that would be the simplest for you to meet that guide and to see that guide as the one to bring it to you. That way there's not so much pressure on yourself. So you can understand and visualize that self, because it really is a part of you, for we are all one, to have that brought to you. You can use visualization, greeting that person, that figure, and to bring that for you to review. And that may be reviewed in a certain scroll, book, a computer program, a quantum field, like a hologram in which you look at, or on a screen. It all depends on what you want to use as a reference point, but that information then will be revealed in whatever form that you find appropriate. You can use this through intention and understanding that all is possible. There is no difference between this and anything else. If you were to understand using a microwave, you can understand using this. You must understand that it is all because of intentionality. And the review is possible. The only thing that would get in the way is the mind, is the beliefs that you have, the thoughts and attachments. Believing and accepting anything that comes up without judgment, without question, for you get in the way and say, what is truth? This might be something I am making up. If you would to just understand anything that comes up as your reality, you would begin to gain your confidence and your beliefs. There is no one way to access this, as some would believe, such as giving you a certain program in which you have to follow step by step. As long as you protect yourself and ask for the highest and ask for accurate information and ask for clarity and be very specific, you will not access anything that you should not. For there are times that are appropriate to get information and times where there is not. We would not give you information that is not appropriate for you at this space and time, which you define yourself as. That would not be in your benefit.
So are there any rules or common etiquettes that should be used when accessing the Akashic Records?
I I would say that it is not appropriate for somebody to access the Akashic Records if they do not understand the Akashic Records. As I would say, if you are confused about what I have revealed, I would say do not. Do not do it with confusion and to access things that have a potential to confuse you. I would say it is not in your benefit to do it if you do not understand shielding, for others can give you false information. It is not appropriate to do it if you have any fear. Only do it when you trust yourself. Use it for the highest good. Do not use it to manipulate or to send guidance to another when you do not understand the other person. Work with somebody with the purest intent. That would be pretty much all. You must honor free will. And even the free will of yourself and the free will of your past self. That is the highest. There are no rules per se, but only guidelines.
So, from what you've said, I don't know why we would necessarily need to do this, but Heather put a question of how can we heal our Akashic Records, but if it's just a code, I don't know why we would have to heal them.
No, that is accurate. We would like to remove certain programs. This is what we would define as healing. To remove the coding systems. There are certain inaccurate perceptions that are encoded within the entire reality system grid. The focal point that you are at is defined by your past, and it is defining your separation. When you remove that certain focal point, then you can redefine yourself and free yourself. There are certain softwares, if you would, that are programmed in such a way that do not define you in the most accurate sense. When you reprogram your energy, you reprogram your entire field. You become more of your enlightened self, of yourself in totality. If you would, this is more like forgiving yourself and to let go of the past. It is like accessing the confinement in which you have defined yourself. It is like looking at the blueprints of your reality. You are building a house and looking at the confined room which you have built to expand. Once you release that limitation, you have access to the entire house and the entire blueprint, and then you can keep expanding. You are like a builder, and these rules that you place upon yourself do not serve you because you hold yourself back. You define yourself as a limitation. It is a warped system. Most of the time it is because of rules and beliefs that you have defined from others who have placed that upon you. Knowing the self and knowing what you have found as inaccurate, then you can redefine yourself in the more accurate, most loving way To understand what love is and what it is not, then you can let go of those false beliefs. Many would call this the personality self, the ego self, that does not work with you but works against you. That holds yourself back and doesn't allow you to expand. Love is expansion, love is creation, love is flowing, love is receiving. Once you understand this, you can redefine yourself to become more of that and reach your more highest potentiality and to redefine your timelines. To grow. You must understand yourself in that field which has not grown in order to grow. There is complications in which there are fragments in which you are growing in one area but holding yourself back in another. Not so much confliction, but limitation. It is like you are believing yourself to be building in the attic, but you have forgotten the basement. You are not expanding below. This would be an accurate metaphor of interpretation so that you may understand you can still grow and build, but not in certain areas. When you understand your limitations, once you understand your past, present, and your future, you can understand how you are holding yourself back. Then you can reprogram. One way to do this would be to actually access a computer system and to see yourself reprogramming in your heart, reprogramming your mind. Many talk about neutrality, and this would be the best because once you have attachment, there is usually a fear placed upon it because you are forcefully accessing the Akashic without feeling the Akashic. You have beliefs placed upon it as you're accessing it, as in this must happen, this has to, this is correct and this is wrong and this is myself and this is not myself, and many beliefs that actually are not accurate in itself. So when you access it through the heart system, you're accessing it through joy. You're accessing it through the information that is you of all. It is the 0 point field. You must step outside time to access time. That is the most accurate self. So when we say neutrality is actually joy, fun, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that you will necessarily feel like you are jumping up and down in excitement. But it is a flow energy. You will know when you're accessing it because you will have a sense of expansion, freedom, peace. You will not need anything. You will just understand. And if you have any fear about that, that is yet again a limitation. If you say, I cannot, I have difficulty, understand this as well and let it go. You can let it go by simply asking to let it go. Ask your higher self to help you let it go and to reprogram your system. There are many ways to do this. Setting that intent, feeling it, knowing it. You can imagine writing it. You can write it down. You can do certain ceremonies. You can work through your belief system at night before you go to bed. You can sing it, dance it, it doesn't matter. But you must access this field of information without your ego self, without that has judgment, fear, and separation. Believe in the knowing. Have access to the knowing. You might need to meditate on the heart for several years before you are able to access this. Do not fear. It is fine. You will free yourself naturally through the heart. If you were to meditate on the heart every day, you are naturally working on the Akashic. Do not fear. It is fine if you are not ready for this expansion at this time. Becoming a master does not happen overnight. It is all a game anyways. There is no space and time. It is just you. We accept now that you have time and space, even though it is not a reality.
So before, I was going to say the reason that it seemed strange to me to say that we needed to heal the records was just because it seems like with that being all of our potential would just exist, but we're only seeing the certain parts of it, so we would be healing ourselves. But then during that whole answer, I was like realizing, I guess, like, we are the records because the records are the potential of all that we are, right? So it's kind of like they're just the bigger version of us, but then we just choose what we embrace as us.
It is the movement of time and space throughout all reality through us. It is the access points of what we know. It is a common grid of knowledge that we have accumulated throughout all of our lifetimes. So there is an inaccuracy even in the time and space, but we are overcoming the inaccuracies of the time and space. We are accessing more and more of this system to free ourselves from the system altogether.
So when we say healing it, that's us fixing the inaccuracies that we have put upon it?
It is not something you need to do. It is something that you want to do. There are no inaccuracies. It is only the There are multiple ways of looking at this. You have no inaccuracies in the ultimate sense, but the inaccuracy is that you hold on to the inaccuracies and believe the inaccuracies. You define yourself as the inaccuracies without understanding that it is an inaccuracy. There are so many limitations in which there are no limitations. Do you see? It is all an illusion. It is the illusions that you hold on to. Believing that it is not an illusion, that it is yourself.
Wouldn't that be...
This is the
within ourselves?
Reality grid within a reality grid. It is moving through the reality systems to find the ultimate reality. It does not exist either.
Mm-hmm.
For there is no reality. It just is.
So maybe that's why it's confusing me, because it just seems like the inaccuracies would be inside us, while the Akashic Records would have the true potentials, and that we're just putting up these blinders to not see things. But if there's no real reality, then it wouldn't have the reality that we're not seeing, because
there is no reality. It is all a game. It is like a virtual reality. And you are correct. All of it is within you. but you are not grasping the sense of it. You do not have to do any of this. You do not have to heal the Akashic Records. What if you let go of the Akashic Records? What if you told yourself you are without needing to do any of it? You have so much work to do, right? Heather is reminded of Bashar, who said once to someone, "Why are you telling yourself you have to work so hard? Why are you saying you have to get over this? Why not just decide that you are right now?" And we are saying this yet again, you do not need to do any of this. You can bypass it all. You can tell yourself, "I am," believing that you are. And there is no space and time that you need to overcome, or any space and time that you need to achieve. You have access to all of it within yourself right now without needing to reprogram any of it. What if you become the program? What if you achieve absolute refinement, reframement right now and say, "I am"? Then you don't have to do all of it or any of it. It just becomes you. Heather is laughing because she has a space and time definition that says there is growth through this, and we say yes. But also she does not understand that this is also a limitation. And there is a point in time where you will let it go, in which you do not need to do this at all. However, it may serve you at the time that you are at. But at some point, when you have reached a certain level of awareness, you will understand that this whole system doesn't even work, and you can let that go. This is how it works. How it goes is maybe a better way. At one point or another, you will let everything go because it no longer serves you. And that is fun. Everything is a limitation, for it is all a game. You are only understanding more and more and more of this consciousness field. And once you let go of one consciousness, you shall merge with another. For there is no separation. Working within the field, you become the field. This is advanced. Many will like simple things, such as getting up in the morning and drinking their tea and finding time to meditate and maybe do some singing bowl, maybe aligning their chakras, and that is fine. We are talking about very advanced accumulation of knowledge.
How can we heal the Akashic Records for others?
If they do not access the Akashic Records, it is not possible. So what I mean by that is just that they have to be open to it. There is no way that you can go to an Akashic Records healer and just say, "Do it." There is no way for another person to heal unless they can heal through you. It is not possible for somebody to access another without a merging of some sort. You cannot access somebody else if there is separation. If they believe themselves to be separated, you cannot access it. So it has to be someone who is ready. That is why sometimes it does not work. But if you are ready, it is very, very possible. If the other person is willing and separate, but also somewhat connected, they have to believe that they can. There is no way that somebody can be so limited in their belief system to free them from their belief system. They have to be flexible. So this is something you would want to gain access through permission, of course, because if you do not have permission, they are most likely not ready. And also, you have to have access to it. And usually it is done through an energetic exchange. There is an energetic exchange within the system. You have to have access to their blueprint. And once you have access to that blueprint, it is sort of like gaining a key to their house. You go into the house, but you must be given the key. They have to know that there is a key, and they have to know what to do within the house to show you around the house. Otherwise, you will be wandering around without access, correct? You will not understand where they are at in the house. You have to work together.
It's kind of... It hit me. That's like you have to already have the key, but you don't have to know how to put the key into the door because the other person can show you how to put the key in the door. Yes. And then take you in there.
And to show you where they are at. They must have a state of awareness.
Oh, because you might not know where the door is, but you have to have the key.
If somebody is not sure where they are stuck, then it is hard for you to repair that stuckness. If you do not understand where your limitations are, someone is going to have difficulty healing you because you are not open to healing, because you are not ready for healing. And merging with that field of consciousness, they can help you, but you have to be willing to understand what is beyond your limitations. Going beyond your limitations. So if someone comes into your house, per se, the healer comes in and says, I show you this attic where you can go, you must be willing to leave your room. So it is a game in which you play together. There is no way that you can heal alone. Heather is remembering Aurora, who speaks about how all healing is self-healing, and this is exactly what we were talking about. There is no way to heal alone for someone. They must be willing to join you. It may not be an intellectual thing, but their higher self is working with them. The higher self must join, and the self, the personality self, must ask for that higher self to join. There must be a participation. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you explain oaths, vows, and contracts in the Akashic Records and how we are able to clear those?
They do not exist, but you think that they exist, so that is fine. It is yet again a definement that you have. Once you are aware of them, you can let them go. They are placements in time and space, which you have still held on to. So if someone had a experience in which they define themselves as having an oath to do certain things or not, a vow to do certain things or not, contracts of agreement, you can feel like they are gone. You can feel the separation. Send love to the separation, and then go through the separation and come out the other side by sending love and working with your higher self to then merge and to restore your balance, restore your oneness. It is accumulating all your knowledge and then going through and coming out the other side. So you must have an awareness of the oath, the vow, the agreement. You cannot bypass it by just saying, I'm free. You must understand what you are not for you to understand what you are. Otherwise, you might miss it. You might not sense and understand. You can work with your higher self for them to assist you. You need to understand the vow, the agreement, the contract. This is why hypnosis is so good. Because it walks you through a past life, and so you can understand all the sadness, all the attachment for you to work through, to process. Once you can process it, you can understand how that did not serve you, for you to work through, and for you to collectively agree upon a new agreement, to see yourself in a new way. It's like you're slowly merging with your higher self, and then over time you will merge with another higher self. It is all becoming more and more of who you are. Once you let go of who you are not, you become more of who you are. But you must understand who you are not. You must understand what is holding you back. So you must work with that energy. You must work with the energy of that which is even uncomfortable for you to work with what is. It is a process. Heather was shown a process of which you sense and feel what you are not, what is uncomfortable, all those feelings, beliefs that hold you back. Then bring in your higher self, understand the higher self, understand who you are, and speak with that lower self. And then you can teach it and ask it to work with you, and then merge with it and bring in even a higher self, maybe an angel, to come through and heal and merge, and you can collectively become whole. But there is no way that you can overcome separation with separation. You have to love that separate self. And we did send Heather the belief system of entities, which there are entities, but understand that all entities are you. So if you have an attachment, you have somehow agreed upon it. If you've agreed upon it, it is up to you. You must work with that entity with love and to understand it without judgment. Believing that it is separate and that it must go out of fear is not working with it for healing. So you must overcome this as well, and to overcome that belief, as some may have, to overcome these attachments. Once you overcome the attachments, you do not need these anymore, and you will work with love only. So step outside that as well. See where you are holding yourself back. What beliefs are in fear. If you repress something or shield out of fear, you are actually not giving yourself permission to be the love. You must go through the pain to overcome the pain. Feel the pain so that you can see what is not pain. Bring in what is not pain to heal what is pain. Shielding is fine and good, and it works, but you must understand that there is no separation. It is not about repressing something. It is not about pushing something necessarily away. It is about understanding the self and who we are, which is the love light. You must understand the love light for you to be shielded. It is not out of fear, not out of judgment, and not out of separation. It is just, I am love light and that is who I am, so nothing can touch me because there is nothing that is outside of me. That is where some do not understand and will shield and protect themselves and will explain it within a box system. Keep yourself in a box and everything else is outside. We want to say that it is not like that, and we don't want you to hold yourself back by fear. There is no way to protect yourself unless you believe that you are protected. And the only way to really protect yourself is to understand who and what you are, which is that which out any separation. That is true love light. To know yourself without needing to protect yourself because you are protected. We want to make sure that that did bring about some understanding so that it is not fear. Please explain whether there is any fear.
There's not with me.
Okay.
And I was actually just recently really coming to understand the exact thing that you're explaining. So I don't know, though, if that's going to come across differently to people watching this.
Yes. So that is a debate in which people have. Shielding is wrong. We must not push things away. We must push things away, and you must shield. There is a balance of truth in which you are holding the love light and knowing that you are in the love light and that nothing can touch you because you are untouchable, because you are. Holding the space to know that you are, and so everything else will be without it affecting you. You must understand the love light that you are. That's why it is done in the heart, not from the mind. Sense and feel the heart. Sense and feel with intention that you are free from any separation. That is why Heather has gotten entities in the past, is because she did not understand this until recently, until the past few months, in which she let go of fear, because she saw that she did get some attachments, and then she began to fear attachments. So if you are shielding for out of fear, I fear chemtrails. I fear electromagnetic fields, EMFs, food. I fear that energy from that other person. I have a fear. Then no shielding will work because you will be affected because you are believing in separation. Holding on to who you are, and you can do this in the morning just with the intent that you will hold on to it. And you can ask for assistance to hold on to the love light which you are, even when you... So it's escaping the matrix so that you can be in the matrix. The illusion of the matrix throughout your day. and play around without getting caught up in it. And setting that intention for the entire day. Yes, Heather is questioning if you go throughout the day and then you do get caught up in the mind, if you get caught up in the ego sense, would your shield still be effective? Sometimes. You must work with the higher self. The higher self could come in and help you. They can shield you. But you must ask for that. Yes, there's no way to heal without understanding the mind and the system and the separation and the agreements and everything. That is what we are doing, is we are slowly working through this. And yes, some people see it as letting go of density. Just understanding what you are letting go of. But you must understand what you are letting go of to let it go, because otherwise you are not really letting it go. You were repressing. You are not willing to shine the light in the darkness, to see the darkness. It's almost like you are in a room and you're only here in the corner where there's light, and you're not willing to go over there where there's the dark so that it can be shined upon. You have to be willing to go and do the shadow work to overcome the shadow. That isn't really shadow. It's just you. That is all. And once you see how funny it is, you will laugh. You will eventually laugh about this and say how funny it was that I was so scared. That's not scary. We say again how fun it is. What else?
Well, I should have asked this before because it's jumping backwards, but how specifically do we access the future in the Akashic Records?
There is no future. This is the most accurate sense. We find it funny. There is no future. But there are potential selves that you will step into. In reality, you are all of it, but your understanding of who and what you are at this space and time is changing. And once you access that shift, you can see what is the most accurate self that will be brought about. Yes, it is like a timeline that people will see. But things are constantly moving and changing. So it is not always the most accurate self. But you can see what you are stepping into. So one thing you might do is hold a sense of self. So you can access your Akashic Records, look and see what might be. And if you don't like the sense of self, which you are finding, you can ask for what is needed for you to change. What would be needed for me to step into a higher timeline? Work with your higher selves, your team, your spiritual team, and they can show you what you would need to step into a higher timeline, which is nothing more than raising your vibration. Once you raise your vibration and work more within your own heart and all the chakras, but the heart is the most accurate sense of self. But once you understand yourself more, you can understand the higher realities. So breaking free of that reality system. You might need to eat differently. You might need to work out or do things in nature or let go of certain relationships or let go of certain attachments, beliefs, let go of items. You might need to move. You might need to do higher vibrational things. And then you can access that specific timeline. This is how you create. You can create specific things, but you must be a vibrational match to it. How much of that has answered?
It makes sense.
Very good. What else would you like to know?
Well, those are all my questions, unless Heather has any new ones.
Mm-hmm. She has personal questions, but that is it. So we will end for today for the collective video. Okay. They said they had fun with it, so we just had a moment there. We were both saying thank you. Okay. All right. Very cool.
Wait, both?
Well, me and
oh, you
Metatron.
I was like, I thought it was just Metatron.
No.
Okay.
No, they say we all the time.
Okay.
It's like they don't view themselves as individual.
Mm-hmm.
They're like collective. They see themselves as a collective. You know, like they're a collective energy. And they don't see us as separate. So when they say we, it's like all of it, you know? So, anyways, but no, both of us, me and... Okay.
I just thought maybe someone else came in and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like there was something I was going to say here at the end. But, and I was like, oh, I'll say that at the end. I don't remember what it was, though. But... yeah, I will just say about the shielding. I don't know if that was it. But yeah, I was taught, shield and you'll be protected, but then I would have fear that I wasn't protecting good enough, and then, that's fear. Fear. And so then you're not shielding to the highest. Yeah, I'm getting just highest self, so that's something that needs to be let go of. So, what I needed to do to believe that I was shielded enough, because you might need to do something actually to know that you were shielded. So, yeah, I would go in my heart, but I would need to, this is what helped me. I know I don't need to do it. So it's funny, but, I needed multiple shields, and then I accessed like a higher energy because of it. So I felt more protected. I felt more loved by bringing in multiple angels and multiple shields, and then that helped me to believe more in myself, and now I can access more energy by not having that many shields to know that I'm protected. So if you do have fear, maybe you need to start off with accessing multiple streams of love light, multiple angels, or you could use guides or gods or goddesses, whatever, and or multiple just higher selves, right? Like you could bring in the Archerians, Pleiadians, or whatever, but Syrians and Lyrans, and bring multiple shields. And then once you get acquainted with that, you might not need them anymore. Because now I just bring in my higher self, my avatar, which is basically the higher self of my higher self, like the ultimate, it's not even the ultimate higher self because there's higher selves above that, but one of the highest higher selves, I bring in Michael, and then I also bring in Sekhmet, goddess Sekhmet, because I've been working with her and she's really powerful. So I've been shielding, and then sometimes I do every now and then. It depends. If I know I'm going into an environment where I might feel nervous that there's maybe attachments or energies, then I will do the my really kind of long layers of shielding. So the only thing you really need to do is just say I'm shielded. I know that I'm shielded. But you got to know that you're shielded without fear. So, anything you want to add?
I mean, it's more of a personal thing between us. But before, when I told you that I had heard that, oh yeah, all you gotta do is do that, but then it became, oh no, you're not doing enough.
And that's why I got afraid. It's because I have hearing stories. Like, oh, you're not shielded enough. Like, I had a practitioner. You're not shielding enough. So then I got afraid. That was why I got afraid. You're not shielding enough. So then I was like, oh my gosh. And so then I was always afraid. I was always afraid that I was going to get attachments, and then I would get attachments. Yeah, and my higher self's like, you gotta let go of attachments. There's nothing is really attaching because that's separation, because it's all you. There is nothing that is not you. So
it's not that nothing can touch you, but anything that touches you is you. So it's not going to affect you because it's just you.
Well, you're allowing it.
If you're sure of what you are, then that's just gonna be you.
But you're allowing it, and you're allowing it. You're seeing the other person or seeing another energy outside of yourself. That's what fear is. This doesn't serve me, and so it's wrong. It's something I must get rid of. It's something that I cannot feel or understand. Okay. So really my higher self is like, that thing doesn't serve you, yes. But you must understand it and then move through it and past it. To know that that is not you. So it was you, but now you're more. And if you can step into the love light of understanding your totality without becoming that sense of self within the attachment of fear and limitation, then you become shielded. I know it can be, I hope that makes sense. It can be complicated. Some of this can be complicated.
It would touch you, but it would either have to be transmuted into what you are then, or it would have to leave because it can't exist in that space. So it's not like you're necessarily, when you're doing like the deep ones, like you're saying from fear, you're like making nothing can pass this, but you're not doing that anymore. You're just saying, I am. And so you have the what you are. And so it's just either it can't enter because then it won't be itself. It would become you because you're the bigger,
it's not a vibrational match to you. It's only a vibrational match because you somehow align with it. You somehow have a part of yourself that is still in that and in that system. So, yeah. If you break off from fear, you don't need it anymore. So it's no longer a vibrational match. So you won't align to it. You won't have entities at all. You only get entities because you have a part of yourself that is afraid. and what led to that attachment. There's something that you opened the door to. So there's something that made it allowing to come in, because there's a part of you somehow that did align with that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been allowed. And yeah, there's contracts that come in not by agreement, but there's something that allowed you to agree even with a non-agreement. If that makes sense, because somehow you allowed it. Yeah, like there's a part of you that says okay to it and believes it's you. Otherwise, it can't attach. You actually grab onto it. So, like, if you get an attachment, it can only attach if you say yes. If you're like, yeah, that's me somehow. So, like, let's say that you have something in the brain, and it can only attach there if you're like, yes, that is me, and it becomes part of you. Does that make sense? You identified with it. Even though it's not you, you identified with it as you. And until you understand that it's not you, then it's not possible to let it go. And that's where the transmutation comes. Use the word transmutation. I like that. That's how entities are transmuted and healed, is because then they begin to identify with themselves in a different way, and then they can be healed. Or if you identify with yourself and they're not a match to that, they'll separate and leave. So you have to identify who you are without the attachment. Yeah. Okay. That was a lot of my higher self coming through right there. So, anyways, so, yeah, I'm getting like, just my higher self is another me in another shape and form. Side note, I don't know, that came through. I think that's it. Let us know if you have some questions about the Akashic Records, and if you need any clarification. I'll try to bring through some clarification about it if something didn't make sense or you want to know more. Okay? Bye.